section, we want to talk about SOC reports. Now, when we talk about SOC report, what do we mean? Now, we are talking about the service organizational controls, not the security operations center. The security operations center is different from the service organizational controls. Now, these are controls that have been put in place, and these assessments are done on these various controls to be able to see if these controls are well implemented. Now, we have SOC 1, we have SOC 2, and we have SOC 3. SOC 1. Now, SOC 1 is being designed to review an organizational internal controls as they relate to financial reporting. SOC 2 is examination of the organization's control over one or more of the 5 trust principles. And if you watch one of our previous, we talked about the 5 trust principles. Now, the 5 trust principles talks about security, privacy, integrity, confidentiality. Now, when we are talking about this, what we mean is that we are examining the controls and we are assessing them based on the CIA triad. That is the security, confidentiality, integrity, availability, then security and privacy. Then we have SOC 3, which is a summary of the SOC 2 audit that has been done with a seal and organization that can publicly be shared to the general public. Now let's dive more into this. What is the difference between a SOC 1 and a SOC 2? SOC 1 is intended to be used to validate and verify the internal controls over financial reporting and making sure that they are sufficient, that we have sufficient controls in place for the vendor or for that contracted use. Now, SOC 1 also talks about reviewing this. When you are reviewing this SOC, when you are primarily concerned with the impact of financial reporting. So SOC 1 has to do with only financial reporting, generally meant for auditors who use and compliance purposes. SOC 2 help you to measure how the vendor provides their product services under the umbrella of the specific trust service criteria or the 5 trust principles that I talked about. Then SOC 2 may not cover all trust service criteria, as vendors can choose which criteria they wanted to be audited on. Because the SOC 2, because of the 5 trust principles, not all the vendors have them. And so if you are assessing that report by a vendor, you are assessing it based on what they are being audited on, whether it's security, privacy, availability, confidentiality, or the processing integrity. Now, these various SOC that we are talking about also have type 1 and type 2. SOC 2 type 1. Now, SOC 2 type 1 is a point in time assessment. When we say a point in time, we are saying that as of the time that we are doing this assessment, the design of the controls that are in operation is what we are reporting or what we are assessing. Now, generally, you are not able to determine the operating effectiveness of these controls, only the design and the implementation of it. So when it comes to SOC 2 type 1, you are only assessing the design and the implementation of it. The effectiveness cannot. Why? Because you are not measuring it over a time period of time. And so that is where the SOC 2 comes in. SOC 2 covers a period of time, typically over 3, 6, 9, or 12 months. And this time around, you are testing the effectiveness of the control. So a company might tell you that, hey, employees change their password every 3 months. When you come at a point in time, you wouldn't know whether they change their password in 3 months. When you are there and assessing them over a period of time, that is where you come and see that, okay, are they measuring it or are they being assessed within that time period? Typically, the type 2 will always give you both the operating effectiveness of the controls, the design, and the implementation of the controls. Then you have the SOC 2 Plus, and this is combined with other control frameworks such as the Cloud Security Alliance, the Cloud Control Metrics, or the High Trust, or the Security Principles. A way to combine the trust service criteria with another framework. Now, SOC 3. This is where you request and assess a SOC 3 report, or when you request and assess a SOC 3 report, when you are doing an initial early upfront due diligence of a vendor, until your organization has determined if they are a serious prospect. So until you request for the SOC 2 Type 2, or until you request for the SOC 1 report, we mostly request for the SOC 3 because it's going to give us a summary of how their system is, a summary of their security posture before we go ahead and do anything else. Vetting a vendor, but should never be used in place of a SOC 1 or a SOC 2. Why? Because it gives you the high level, it doesn't go into details as we want it. And so SOC for cybersecurity. So when you are requesting a SOC for cybersecurity report, you want to know how mature and the effectiveness of their vendor cybersecurity risk management program or their security posture, as we already talked about. I hope you enjoyed this. This is just a preview of SOC 1, SOC 2, and I'll see you in the next class.